Hi, welcome to One Word a Day. I'm Sophie, your pilot into the universe of Chinese. We're going to continue our journey in learning one more Chinese expression today. Yesterday, we learned 势不可挡. 势不可挡 was still commonly used and heard in contemporary Chinese when we say a force that's bigger, larger than us, that we cannot fight against it, basically. So 势不可挡 is still commonly used today. And today we continue with 挡, and this time a change from the meaning of block or fight over it to a liver. And liver 手动挡 is a contemporary usage. So that's when Chinese try to come up with a new expression to depict or to capture the essence of something that's contemporarily created, a new creation. And in this case, hand move, 手动, like manual, that's our hand move. And liver is the lever in the car, so it's a car shifter. So 手动挡, we use that to mean the manual car shifting gears. Okay, so let's go over this down. Yesterday, when I was coming up with the story of what down is, I think I did a glorious job of imagining it, like I extracted to be a good and evil fight, because a shang is this upward pointing, more like high grounding meaning, and then the bottom is a black, is a color black. I mean, black itself is neutral, right? It just means color black. There's no energy emitting from it. It's dark. And then I came up with the story of this good and evil fight. And that's when you feel, there's a force, two forces going against each other. And that's kind of like this resistance, this fighting, this tug war. It's kind of like the down, what it is about. So basically it's a holding off to keep your position, so you can resist or fight over against something. So that's what I came up with, kind of put myself in the spotlight to come up with a story. Sometimes I couldn't get anything, but yesterday I think that's a nice storytelling, but it may not, it's my contemporary reading in 2023 over this ancient language creation. It may evolve over time and people project different things onto the characters. So 挡, again, this hand symbol means it's something related to hand, right? So a lot of times when we resist something, we will do this hand gesture of just stop, right? So that's my reading of this hand symbol. And then the right side, the first story is, the first interpretation is, according to scholars, this is a borrowed character to mean it's the bird phoenix, which is the leader or on the kingdom of bird. It's the king of the bird almost, right? So it's on the pack order of the bird, phoenix is the one that, because it has the ability to regenerate itself, it can rebirth through fire, right? So that's some amazing ability. So this phoenix becomes this leader, symbol in a kingdom of bird world, in the birdom. Okay, and then we have this kind of a visual representation of the bird. Then, right, the beak, the head of the bird, the eye of the bird. I don't know, and then the body of the bird, the long tails, feathers of the bird. So the bird then would cause a following of the birds below it. So every other smaller bodied or less capable birds become the follower of the phoenix. And that eventually becomes this legendary bird used to depict the phenomenon in human society, which is this leader rising above the crowd due to some special ability or narrative of this special legendary ability of that person that calls a grand following of a human population, and that becomes a party symbol, like a symbol of political party in today's context, simply a crowd following one leader. So that's story one. And this party following, then because then they will have some forces to accept or resist something, and then that's used in this character. And I still like my good and evil fight. So this is black because there are two fires burning at the bottom. This plus two dots on the side, this is fire symbol. So two fire symbols stacking up over here. And this is kind of a container with something cooking inside. And this harmless cooking thing produce burned charcoal. That's black color related to it. So that's black symbol at the bottom, and on the top is this pointy thing. So this is spacer, pointy, upward, separate two things, right? And that's kind of almost like in the Western Christianity context, it's almost like a Messiah come, and then the mouth symbol is like a verbal, like a pat, the good news, right? And then that beak or beacon of light pierces through the cloud of darkness or unclarity to give moral direction for people. So that's higher, aspiring, high moral ground meaning of sha, like we often pair it with gao sha. That means moral high ground. Morally correct, righteous group. So that's the Shang. So now I come up with this black represent evil. Shang means good. It's a good evil fight, and then that's the top war, this resistance symbol. So in the contemporary translation of the mechanical part on the car, that is the gear shifting. This liver thing that when you do this liver can somewhat, right? Somebody use dang, that's kind of resisting, right? This force to mean there is a liver, to mean this gear shifting, because it's a resistance, right? So once it's in its power balance, is going to stay there, right? And then you shift the gear again. So then you shift your resistance ground, right? And in that sense, it's the liver that you can set the setting. Okay, and the shou, 5-finger hand symbol, visual depiction. The mystery is I couldn't figure out why the middle finger is bending toward that. I don't know about that. Okay, so the right side is dong. It comes from the muscle power symbol. That's the raking, the farming tool, the rake, right? So with pointies at the end to loosen the soil, right? And this is the handle of this piece. So because it's commonly used in the farming activity, this becomes the symbol for muscle power, working in the field. That's for agrarian society. That's the first number one thing about production. It's farming is the number one industry back then, right? Okay, and then the left side is about farming as well. The reason why is because we have this sunrise. Okay, this oval shape with horizontal line, that's our sun. And this upward turning, the convex, this is convex, right? Convex, concave with one vertical line, that symbol, right, split by the sun symbol. That is our tree symbol. And the tree with the sun behind it means the sun just rises up. The horizon is still behind the tree trunk. So when you observe the sun is as low as if it's embedded behind the tree trunks. That's how low it is. It's just barely get up the horizon. So that's marks the timing of it, right? And then the bottom has the soil symbol, two horizontal lines. First line is a ground level. Second line is the indicator. This is the abstract line. And then the vertical line is something growing, right? Above and at bottom, below the ground level. So something growing in under the ground, right? And then this indicator, instead of pointing to the upground portion, pointing to the underground portion of this thing growing. And this indicator, that is the key point. That's where, okay, imagine this picture, right? You have a plant growing in the ground. Like, what do you think the message is? It's hard to tell, right? Now with the indicator, it's kind of zoom in all the way to the bottom of this plant. And that gives you a visual clue as to where the language actually is pointing you to. It's pointing to the very end of the root of the plant. And that by deducing like what that is. It's not about the root of the plant because we have another symbol for that. This means to position the location where the end, the very end of the plant goes. And that's the soil. Because yeah, the root of the plant is rooted in soil. Okay, so now we have soil underneath, and then we have the timing. It's like the sun barely rise above the horizon. And then on top of all that, there's a side view human figure. So human figure contemporary 人 looks like this, almost like an Eiffel Tower, right? It's a simple structure, it's a symmetrical look like that, just like that. But ancient Chinese, we have actually left and right side. The left side is straighter and more streamlined, look like this. And the right side is kind of with a little bit curve and kind of a wrap over the left side. Almost looking like an English letter R. That's the ancient Chinese generic human figure pointing, abstraction. And that's the key point of that is a two-leg standing being, right? And the left and right, it could be ancient language creators embedding some meaning to it. Like the left side is probably a more logical side, right side is non-linear, therefore it's kind of shaped with a little bit curve. It's up for interpretation. So in any case, this is a squashed human figure, as if it's going on top of the tree. I mean, it doesn't make sense, right? Like why humans go on top of a tree in the sunrise timing. It actually means this human figure is working on the soil, farming activity at this morning and at this sun rising moment. That's how early that person works. I mean, I haven't been working in agriculture, so I have little clue as to what's the scheduling for working, but there was a story of actually it's a propaganda story told by Communist Party to all the young kids in China about this landlord back then. So landlord means people who own land and then hire laborers to work for him on the land, most likely it's him, right? So this landlord, in order for the farm hand to work longer hours, would go in the midnight, like 2 o'clock-ish, go poke at the rooster, so that a rooster, surprised from its dream, would start to do the crowing thing. And then that's the alarm clock back then, before we have the contemporary timing marker, right? People rise up, heard the sound cue from the rooster. And so landlord poked rooster make the sound, and then farm hands, even if it's dark, because the rooster sing, they have no choice but to get up and start working. And so from that story alone, even if it's propaganda, I make it almost like comical. But from that story, you can tell that laborers, farm hands, are supposed to get up working at when the birds start to sing. It's super early morning, probably slightly before the sunrise. And that is kind of depicting over here. It's early morning labor on the soil with the farming to this muscle power symbol together. That means things are on the move. Farming activity starts. So that's the definition of move. Hand, move, and this mechanical translation of liver, 手动挡, is this manual gear shifting. Now you wonder what's the other one, the automatic transition. No, automatic transmission. Automatic transmission, we simply switch out the 手 that you're manually doing something, right? So just like English, manual is about hand, right? You handle something yourself. Versus 自动, auto, right? Auto means something is not handled by a person. Like we don't need to make a decision, or we don't even need to make a move. Something else is moving for us. So it's a kind of machine do the work for us. So in Chinese, we translate it as a 自动挡. 自动挡, well, I didn't. I made a mistake here. I didn't change this word. This should mean auto move lever. Okay, auto. That means the machine, the car itself will shift the gear for you. And this 字 came from this nose bridge, 2 nostrils stacking up to save the space, but it's depicting over here. And then kind of circle out on here. That's the center of the face. And center of the face is the, kind of self pointer. In Chinese, we have many characters depicting self, like self-referral. There are different ways to say how to say self, but this is one of them, pointing to the center of the face. And eventually in contemporary Chinese, translating this, this concept of auto means actually not our human's self. It means some other, not exactly intelligent being, but machine that's programmed to do so, self-started to do something, right? So that becomes the auto translation. But in Chinese, it actually means self, like referring to ourself, nose pointing. Okay, so I'm simply using this manual transmission, 手动挡, paired with a picture of, well, ancient times, supposedly ancient times of fishing practice, in this ancient looking raft, ancient costume, ancient methodology of fishing. But all of this picture could be a contemporary manufactured of a far away, past of how people used to make a living. Today it's fish farmed, right? Fish farm. Very, very, I guess still there are fishing. Wild fish catching is still big business, but I guess it was gradually phasing out. I don't know. I don't exactly know, but this picture is definitely the old way, the old practice. That's kind of a manual way to corresponding to this manual. You're catching fish yourself and feed family. I think this is like a self-sustained image. Lifestyle image, because in contemporary it's a farm, so everybody got the same supply of fish farmed from the same farm field. And this is not exactly an efficient way of fish catching, right? So probably can only catch enough to feed their own family. Hardly commercialable, definitely not industrial, not mass produced. So this in comparison to 自动挡. So this is more manual process of fishing. Okay. Cash into the currency of thinking by one word a day with Sophie. See you another day.